The Great Hall of the Galactic Council stretched as far as the eye could see. Thousands of alien beings filled the massive space, their voices creating a buzz that echoed off the crystal walls. At the center of it all stood Admiral Vextar, his dark purple scales gleaming under the bright lights. His red eyes swept across the crowd as he prepared to speak. "Fellow beings of the galaxy," Vextar began, his voice booming through the hall. "Today I bring you news of a most amusing discovery. Our scouts have found a tiny world in a distant corner of space. The locals call it Earth." A wave of curious murmurs rippled through the crowd. The Admiral smiled, showing his sharp teeth. Behind him, a holographic image appeared showing a small blue and green planet orbiting a yellow star. "The creatures living on this world are quite remarkable," Vextar continued. "They call themselves humans. They are small, weak beings with no scales, no claws, and no natural armor. They are completely covered in thin skin that tears easily." Laughter echoed through the hall. The Zephyrite delegation, beings made of living crystal, chimed in harmony to show their amusement. The gas-dwelling Neptarians released clouds of colored vapor that meant they found something funny. Even the machine-hybrid technocrats clicked and whirred in what passed for their version of laughter. "But wait, there is more," Vextar said, raising his clawed hand. "These humans have just learned to travel faster than light. Their ships are crude metal boxes powered by simple fusion engines. They use magnetic rails to throw metal chunks at their enemies. It is like watching children play with rocks and sticks." The crowd erupted in louder laughter. A Neptarian delegate floated forward, speaking in a voice like rushing wind. "Admiral, surely you jest. No species could be so primitive and still reach the stars." "I assure you it is true," Vextar replied. "Our intelligence shows they have only 5 ships capable of interstellar travel. 5. Their largest vessel is barely 300 meters long. Our smallest scout ship is twice that size." More laughter filled the hall. The technocrat representative stepped forward, its mechanical parts clicking as it moved. "What do they use for shields?" it asked in its electronic voice. "Thick metal plates," Vextar answered with a grin. "They literally bolt metal sheets to their ships and hope for the best. They have no energy shields, no particle barriers, nothing we would consider real protection." A young Zephyrite delegate chimed a question. "How do they fight? What weapons do they possess?" "The most advanced weapon we have observed is a device that uses magnetic fields to launch metal projectiles at high speed. They also have chemical, explosives, and primitive energy beams. Nothing that could penetrate even our oldest ship designs." The hall was now filled with the sound of various species expressing their amusement. Some laughed, others chimed, clicked, or released colored gases. The mockery was universal. "Admiral," called out an elderly Neptarian from the back, "why do you bring us news of such an insignificant species? Surely they pose no threat to anyone." Vextar's smile grew wider. "That honored delegate is exactly why I am here. The Draconian High Command has decided to make an example of these humans. We will show the galaxy what happens to worlds that might think about resisting our expansion." The laughter died down as the crowd realized the Admiral was serious. Vextar activated another hologram, this one showing a massive fleet of Draconian warships. "I will personally lead our 3rd conquest fleet to this Earth. 300 ships, including 12 heavy dreadnoughts and 40 battlecruisers. We estimate the entire conquest will take less than 1 day." A murmur of confusion swept through the hall. A Zephyrite delegate chimed a concerned note. "Admiral, is such force not excessive for such a primitive world?" "Perhaps," Vextar admitted. "But the message must be clear. Any world that sees how easily we crush these humans will think twice before opposing us. Fear is often more effective than force alone." Meanwhile, far across the galaxy in a small solar system, Captain Hyun Park stood on the bridge of the Earth ship Aegis Dawn. He was a tall man with kind eyes and graying hair at his temples. His uniform was simple and practical, nothing like the elaborate ceremonial dress of alien officers. "Captain," called out Lieutenant Jiwon Kim from her station. She was young, with sharp eyes that missed nothing. "We're receiving some strange signals from deep space. The computer is trying to decode them now." What kind of signals? Hyun asked, walking over to look at her display. They appear to be military communications, sir. Multiple ships, organized in fleet formations. The signals are definitely not human. Hyun felt a chill run down his spine. For years, Earth scientists had debated whether they were alone in the galaxy. Now it seemed they had their answer, and it might not be a pleasant one. Can you determine how many ships? He asked. Ji-won worked at her console, her fingers moving quickly across the controls. The computer estimates at least 200 vessels, possibly more. They're still too far away for accurate counts. And they're heading? Ji-won's face went pale as she checked the navigation display. Direct course for Earth, Captain. At their current speed, they'll arrive in 72 hours. Hyun closed his eyes for a moment. When he opened them again, his expression was calm but determined. Signal all Earth defense stations. Activate Protocol 7 immediately. Sir, are you sure? Ji-won asked. Protocol 7 hasn't been tested in a real situation. I'm sure, Lieutenant. Also send a message to Nara Lee on the Luna base. Tell her it's time to see if all her modifications actually work. As the Aegis Dawn changed course toward Earth, its crew began preparations they had hoped they would never need to make. In the ship's engineering section, displays showed weapon systems that looked simple from the outside, but contained innovations that alien engineers had never imagined. On Earth's moon, Nara Lee received the message while working in her laboratory. She was a small woman with calloused hands and bright eyes that sparkled when she worked on complex problems. Around her, dozens of projects sat in various stages of completion. To an outside observer, they might look like crude human technology. They would be very wrong. Finally, she whispered to herself as she began activating systems that had been hidden for years. Time to show them what humans can really do. Deep in an asteroid belt, Minho Yang felt his mining station shake as hidden systems came online. He had spent the last 5 years disguising military installations as simple mining equipment. Soon, the galaxy would learn that humans were very good at hiding things in plain sight. Back in the Galactic Council chambers, Admiral Vextar was wrapping up his presentation. The conquest of Earth will be broadcast across the galaxy. Every world will see what happens to those who might oppose the Draconian Empire. These primitive humans will serve as an example for generations to come. The crowd cheered and applauded. They were already looking forward to watching the brief, one-sided battle that would surely follow. If only they knew what was really waiting for them in that small solar system, they might not have been so eager to watch. The hour passed slowly. Admiral Vextar watched the tactical display as his fleet moved into attack formation around Earth's moon. The human defensive positions were clearly marked on his sensors: railgun platforms on asteroids, missile batteries on the moon, and what appeared to be shield generators protecting major population centers. All ships report ready, Admiral, announced his tactical officer. Very well. Signal Captain Park one final time. Give him a chance to avoid unnecessary bloodshed. The communication channel opened, and Captain Park's face appeared on the main screen. He looked tired but determined. Admiral Vextar, I assume you're calling to begin your attack? Actually, Captain, I'm calling to offer you one final opportunity to surrender. Your defensive positions are outnumbered 6-1. Your weapons cannot penetrate our shields. There is no shame in recognizing a hopeless situation. Park was quiet, for a moment, then smiled slightly. Admiral, let me tell you something about humans. We've been fighting hopeless battles for thousands of years. Sometimes we lose, but sometimes the other side discovers that what looked hopeless was actually just well disguised. What do you mean by that? I mean, Admiral, that you're about to learn the difference between primitive technology and primitive thinking. Earth, Defense Force to all units, execute Protocol 7. Show them what we've really built. The communication cut out, and for a moment, nothing happened. Admiral Vextar was about to order his ships to open fire when his sensor officer called out in alarm. Admiral, we're reading massive energy spikes from all human defensive positions. What kind of energy spikes? Before the officer could answer, the first railgun fired from Luna base. Nara Lee had spent 3 years perfecting the timing, and her shot was perfect. The projectile appeared on Draconian sensors as a simple metal slug, moving at the expected velocity. Then it hit the shields of the lead Draconian cruiser. Instead of bouncing off harmlessly as expected, the projectile punched through the energy barrier like it wasn't there. The shield-piercing tip, made from reverse-engineered alien materials, cut through the shield generators. The microfusion warhead detonated inside the ship's hull, and the adaptive targeting system ensured maximum damage to critical systems. The cruiser exploded in a brilliant flash of light. "What was that?" Vextar roared. Before anyone could answer, more railguns opened fire. From hidden positions throughout the asteroid belt, Minho Yang's disguised mining platforms revealed their true nature. What had looked like simple ore processing equipment transformed into massive kinetic cannons. The projectiles streaked through space at incredible speeds. Each one was guided by human ingenuity and alien technology working together. The Draconian shields, designed to stop energy weapons and conventional kinetics, were completely unprepared for the hybrid projectiles humanity had developed. 3. More Draconian ships exploded in the first 30 seconds of battle. "How are they penetrating our shields?" Vextar demanded. "Unknown, sir. Their projectiles are somehow bypassing our defensive systems. Return fire. All ships, concentrate on the nearest human installations." The Draconian fleet responded with overwhelming firepower. Energy beams and plasma cannons targeted the human positions, expecting to vaporize them quickly. Instead, they discovered another surprise. The human defensive stations were protected by adaptive shielding that shifted its properties based on incoming attacks. When plasma hit the shields, they became plasma-resistant. When energy beams struck, they became energy-absorbing. The technology was a perfect fusion of human material science and alien energy manipulation. "Their defenses are adapting to our weapons," reported the tactical officer. "That's impossible. No primitive species could develop adaptive shielding." "It appears they have, sir. Recommend we try different attack patterns." But as the Draconian fleet tried to adapt their tactics, more human positions came online. From what had appeared to be simple communication satellites, hidden weapon platforms emerged. Daeun led a squadron of stealth fighters that had been invisible to alien sensors, appearing suddenly among the larger Draconian ships. Her fighter looked like a basic human design: chemical rockets, simple armor, conventional weapons. But as she engaged the enemy, the truth became clear. Her chemical rockets were actually advanced fusion drives that gave her incredible maneuverability. Her simple armor was adaptive plating that could shift to deflect different types of attacks. Her conventional weapons were precision energy beams powered by miniaturized alien power cores. Where did all these ships come from? Vextar watched in growing alarm as more human vessels appeared from hiding spots throughout the system. "They were disguised, sir. Our sensors read them as debris, asteroids, and communication equipment." Su Jin Kang had spent years studying alien military tactics from recovered data files. She had identified every standard formation, every common strategy, every tactical doctrine used by galactic militaries. Now she put that knowledge to use, predicting exactly how the Draconian fleet would respond to each human attack. When the aliens tried to form a defensive sphere, human ships attacked from angles that split their formation. When they attempted to concentrate fire on human positions, decoy installations lit up to draw their attention, while the real weapons remained hidden. Every move the Draconians made had been anticipated and countered. "Admiral," the communications officer called out, "we're receiving surrender demands from the humans." "Surrender demands? From them?" Captain Park's voice came over the communication system, calm and confident. "Admiral Vextar, this is your opportunity to withdraw your fleet from our system. You are outmatched and outmaneuvered. Surrender now, and we'll allow you to leave peacefully." Vextar was furious. His fleet was supposed to conquer this primitive world in hours. Instead, he had already lost 12 ships and hadn't managed to destroy a single human installation. "Captain Park, you may have surprised us initially, but we still outnumber you. This battle is far from over." "Admiral, look at your tactical display. Really look at it." Vextar did, and what he saw made his blood run cold. The human defensive positions weren't just fighting. They were coordinating with precision that suggested a level of tactical sophistication he had never encountered. Every human attack supported every other attack. Their timing was perfect. Their positioning was flawless, and their technology was proving far more effective than anything his intelligence reports had suggested. "How long have you been preparing for this?" he asked quietly. 23 years, Admiral. Ever since we detected the first alien scout ship in our outer system, we've been watching you, learning from you, and preparing for the day when someone like you would come calling. More Draconian ships exploded as the battle continued. The human weapons seemed to adapt to every countermeasure the aliens tried. When the Draconians modified their shield frequencies, the human projectiles adjusted their penetration methods. When they changed their formation patterns, the humans instantly exploited the new weaknesses. "Sir," the navigation officer called out urgently, "several ships are requesting permission to withdraw to hyperspace." "Granted." Signal the withdrawal. But as the fleeing ships tried to jump to faster-than-light travel, they discovered humanity's final surprise. Gravity well generators hidden throughout the system prevented any ship from entering hyperspace. The technology was based on alien principles, but improved with human innovation. "We're trapped, sir. The humans have sealed off all escape routes." Admiral, Vexter stared at the tactical display in growing horror. His supposedly superior fleet was being systematically destroyed by the primitive humans he had come to conquer. Worse, they couldn't retreat. "Open a channel to the Galactic Council," he ordered. "Sir, do it." The communication system activated, connecting to the council chambers where the alien delegates were still gathered, expecting to watch a quick human defeat. "This is Admiral Vextar calling from the Earth system," he began, his voice shaking with fear and rage. "The humans, they're not what we thought. They're not primitive. They're not weak. They're—" The transmission cut to static as another human projectile found its target, destroying the flagship's communication array. In the council chambers, the alien delegates sat in stunned silence, staring at the blank screen where Admiral Vextar had been speaking. The Draconian Third Conquest Fleet was trapped in Earth's solar system, fighting for their lives against an enemy they had completely underestimated. The Draconian fleet moved through space like a cloud of metal death. 300 warships traveled in perfect formation, their dark hulls reflecting the light of distant stars. At the center of the fleet, Admiral Vexatar stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the tactical display with satisfaction. "Report," he commanded his bridge crew. "We are now 2 light years from the target system," announced his navigation officer. "All ships are maintaining formation and readiness. The humans should be detecting our approach within the next few hours." Vextar smiled. "Perfect. Have you monitored their communications?" "Yes, Admiral. Their radio chatter has increased, but we detect no signs of panic. They seem to be coordinating some kind of response, but it appears quite primitive." "Of course it does," Vextar laughed. "What could they possibly do against us? Continue monitoring, but don't worry about their preparations. Nothing they have can threaten even our smallest escort ship." Meanwhile, in Earth's solar system, a very different kind of preparation was taking place. Captain Hyun Park had called an emergency meeting of Earth's defense commanders. The holographic conference room showed leaders from across the system, each appearing as a blue projection. "The situation is clear," Hyun began. "We have less than 48 hours before the alien fleet arrives. All reconnaissance data confirms they have overwhelming firepower by conventional standards." Taeho Choi, the strategic defense coordinator, leaned forward in his chair. He was a serious man with gray hair and calculating eyes. "Captain, are you certain we should proceed with the sleeping giant protocol? Once we begin, there will be no hiding what we really are." "The time for hiding is over," Hyun replied firmly. "We always knew this day would come. Humanity has prepared for over 20 years. It's time to see if our preparations were enough." From Luna Base, Nara Lee joined the conversation. Her small form was surrounded by weapon schematics and engineering displays. "All defensive systems are ready, Captain. The modifications I've made to our primitive railguns should provide some surprises for our visitors." "Define surprises, Chief Lee," requested Sujin Kang, the master tactician whose strategic brilliance had earned her respect across Earth's military. She was young, but had never lost a war game simulation. Nara grinned. Well, our railguns still fire metal projectiles like the aliens expect. What they don't know is that these projectiles contain microfusion warheads, adaptive targeting systems, and shield-piercing tips made from materials we reverse-engineered from their own crashed scouts. Minho Yang's image flickered as he joined from his asteroid mining station. His weathered face showed the strain of years spent preparing for this moment. My mining platforms are ready too. Funny how mining equipment and weapon systems can look so similar when you know what you're doing. What's the status of our deep space assets? Hyun asked. All hidden installations are operational, reported Dayun Shin from her stealth fighter. She was the youngest person in the meeting, but also one of the most skilled pilots humanity had ever produced. The aliens have no idea how many defensive positions we actually have. The meeting continued for another hour, coordinating the complex defense of Earth. To any alien observer, it would look like a primitive species desperately trying to organize a hopeless defense. They would be half right about the desperate part. As the Draconian fleet continued its approach, Admiral Vextar received reports from his scouts. Admiral, we have completed our preliminary scan of the target system. The humans have approximately 50 defensive installations throughout their solar system. 50? Vextar seemed almost disappointed. That's all? I was hoping for at least 100 to make this interesting. Sir, their weapons appear to be the magnetic rail systems we expected. We also detect what seem to be missile batteries and some kind of energy beam weapons, nothing sophisticated enough to penetrate our shields. Very well. Signal the fleet to assume standard intimidation formation as we enter their system. I want these humans to see exactly how outmatched they are before we begin the attack. What the Admiral didn't know was that human engineers had spent decades studying crashed alien technology. Every piece of wreckage, every failed probe, every abandoned scout ship had been carefully analyzed. Ji-won Kim had led the xenobiology team that reverse-engineered alien shield technology, weapon systems, and propulsion methods. The breakthrough had come 5 years earlier, when a damaged Zephyrite transport had crash-landed in Earth's ocean. The crew had died, but their technology survived. Ji-won remembered the excitement she felt when she first understood how alien energy systems worked. It's not that their technology is better than ours, she had explained to the research team. It's just different. They focused on energy manipulation while we focused on kinetic force and material science. But what if we combine both approaches? That combination had led to weapons that looked human from the outside, but incorporated the best of both technological approaches. Human railguns now fired projectiles that could adapt to different types of alien shielding. Human ships, still, looked like metal boxes, but their hulls contained adaptive armor that could shift its properties based on incoming attacks. Nara Lee had been the engineer who made it all work. She had taken theoretical discoveries and turned them into practical weapons. Her greatest achievement was hidden in plain sight. Earth's defensive railguns looked exactly like the primitive magnetic launchers the aliens expected, but they were capable of firing projectiles at nearly 10% the speed of light. The beauty of our approach, she had told her engineering team, is that we don't look threatening. Let them think we're primitive. Let them underestimate us. When the shooting starts, they'll learn the difference between looking simple and being weak. As the alien fleet crossed into Earth's solar system, automated sensors throughout the system began tracking their movements. These sensors were disguised as communication satellites, weather monitoring stations, and scientific research platforms. The aliens saw exactly what they expected to see: a primitive species with basic technology trying to watch their approach. Admiral Vextar was pleased with what his sensors showed him. Signal the human leaders. I want to give them a chance to surrender before we demonstrate our power. The communication was transmitted on standard radio frequencies to Earth's capital. Within minutes, a response came back. It was Captain Hyun Park, speaking from the bridge of the Aegis Dawn. This is Captain Hyun Park of the Earth Defense Force. We have received your message. Before we discuss terms, we'd like to know why you've come to our system with such a large fleet. Vextar laughed as he replied. Captain Park, we are here to claim your world for the Draconian Empire. Your species will serve as an example to others who might resist our expansion. However, I am prepared to offer you terms for surrender. And what terms are those, Admiral? Complete submission to Draconian rule. Your military forces will be disbanded, your leaders will be replaced with our administrators, and your population will serve our empire. In exchange, we will not destroy your cities or kill your civilians unnecessarily. There was a long pause before Captain Park responded. When he did, his voice was calm and steady. Admiral, we appreciate your offer, but we must respectfully decline. Earth will not surrender. Vextar's amusement faded. Captain, you clearly do not understand your situation. We have 300 warships. You have perhaps 50 defensive installations. We have advanced shielding and weapons. You have primitive railguns and chemical explosives. This is not a battle you can win. Perhaps not, Admiral, Park replied, but it's a battle we're going to fight. You see, humans have a saying, you came to the wrong neighborhood. I think you'll find that Earth is exactly the wrong neighborhood for your kind of visit. Your bravery is admirable but foolish, Captain. You have 1 hour to reconsider. After that, we will demonstrate why resistance is futile. As the communication ended, Vextar turned to his tactical officer. Signal all ships. In 1 hour, we begin the conquest of Earth. This should be over quickly. But across the solar system, humanity was making final preparations that would prove the Admiral very, very wrong about how quickly this would be over. The battle had been raging for 6 hours. What Admiral Vextar had expected to be a quick conquest had turned into a nightmare. More than half of his fleet was gone, destroyed by weapons that shouldn't exist and tactics that defied everything he knew about primitive species. Status report, he demanded from his backup bridge. His main command center had been destroyed by a precision strike that somehow found the exact weak point in his flagship's armor. We have 137 ships remaining, reported his tactical officer, a young Draconian whose scales had turned pale with fear. 43 are badly damaged and requesting permission to withdraw. Withdraw to where? Vexatar snarled. The humans have trapped us here. Every ship that tries to escape gets destroyed before it can reach hyperspace distance. This was true. Captain Hyun Park had positioned his forces perfectly. The gravity well generators prevented escape, while human ships patrolled the outer system like wolves hunting a trapped pack. Any Draconian vessel that tried to flee found itself facing concentrated fire from multiple directions. The humans had revealed tactical skills that shocked the Admiral. They didn't fight like other species he had conquered. Most aliens relied on superior technology or overwhelming numbers. These humans used something different. They used intelligence. Every attack was carefully planned. Every defense was perfectly timed. The humans seemed to predict his moves before he made them. When he tried to form a battle line, they attacked his flanks. When he spread his ships out, they concentrated fire on isolated vessels. When he tried to retreat to a defensive position, they somehow anticipated exactly where he would go. "Sir," called out the communications officer, "we're receiving a message from the human fleet." "Put it through." Captain Park's face appeared on the screen again. Behind him, his bridge crew worked calmly and efficiently. There was no panic, no fear, just professional determination. "Admiral Vextar, I'm calling to discuss terms for your surrender." "My surrender?" Vextar couldn't believe what he was hearing. "You're talking to the commander of a Draconian battle fleet." "I'm talking to the commander of what's left of a Draconian battle fleet," Park corrected quietly. "Admiral, you've lost more than half your ships. Your remaining vessels are damaged and trapped. Your crews are demoralized. This battle is over. Is not over until every human in this system is dead." Park's expression didn't change. "Admiral, let me explain something to you. For the past 6 hours, we've been fighting defensively. We've been protecting our installations and our planet while destroying your ships. But if you refuse to surrender, we'll switch to offensive operations." "What do you mean?" "I mean, we'll stop defending and start hunting. Every ship, every fighter, every weapon platform in this system will focus on destroying what remains of your fleet. You have approximately 2 hours before your fleet ceases to exist." The communication ended, leaving Vextar staring at a blank screen. Around him, his officers waited for orders. But what orders could he give? Every strategy he tried failed. Every tactic was countered. Every move was anticipated. Across the system, the human forces were indeed preparing to switch from defense to offense. Nara Lee had finished upgrading her weapon systems with power cores salvaged from destroyed Draconian ships. Her railguns could now fire at 15% the speed of light. Daiyun Shin had regrouped her fighter squadrons and was preparing for a coordinated assault on the remaining Draconian capital ships. Her pilots were no longer pretending to be primitive. They flew with skills that matched or exceeded the best alien pilots in the galaxy. But the most dangerous change was happening in the mind of Sujin Kang. She had spent the first part of the battle testing her theories about Draconian tactics. Now she knew exactly how they thought, how they reacted, and how they could be defeated. She was ready to use that knowledge. "All units, this is command," she announced over the tactical network. "Execute Hunter Protocol. I repeat, execute Hunter Protocol." Throughout the system, human forces began to move. They no longer stayed in defensive positions waiting for the aliens to attack. Instead, they began to hunt. Minho Yang's asteroid platforms, no longer disguised as mining equipment, revealed their full firepower. Each platform was actually a mobile fortress capable of destroying multiple enemy ships. They began moving through the asteroid belt, using the rocks as cover while they hunted damaged Draconian vessels. Jae-hyun Lim, a psychological warfare specialist, began broadcasting messages to the alien fleet. But these weren't the usual surrender demands or propaganda. Instead, he broadcast detailed analyses of the battle, showing exactly how the humans had predicted and countered every Draconian move. "Attention Draconian fleet," he transmitted. "Your tactical manual, section 12, paragraph 4, recommends forming a defensive sphere when outnumbered. We anticipated this and positioned our forces accordingly. Your section 15, paragraph 8, suggests concentrating fire on enemy command vessels. We use decoys to waste your ammunition. Every strategy in your manual has been studied and countered." The effect on Draconian morale was devastating. Their officers realized that the humans had somehow obtained their military secrets and used them against them. But the truth was worse. The humans had figured out their tactics just by watching them fight. Yejin Oh, a combat medic, added to the psychological pressure in an unexpected way. When human fighters disabled Draconian ships instead of destroying them, she led rescue teams to save the alien crews. This confused and disturbed the Draconians, who expected their enemies to show no mercy. "Why are they saving our people?" asked a Draconian officer over an open channel. "Because that's what humans do," Yejin replied as she helped injured aliens evacuate their damaged ship. "We fight when we have to, but we don't kill when we don't need to." This humanity, this mercy in the middle of battle, was perhaps more terrifying to the aliens than the advanced weapons. They could understand superior firepower or better tactics. They couldn't understand an enemy that fought to win while trying to minimize casualties. Ki-hoon Seo, barely 20 years old, was proving that human recklessness was actually calculated aggression. His fighter squadron attacked Draconian formations in ways that looked suicidal but were actually precisely planned. They flew through weapon fire that should have destroyed them, protected by adaptive armor and powered by reflexes trained through countless simulations. "How are they flying through our weapons fire?" demanded a Draconian wing commander. "They're not flying through it," Ki-hoon replied over the radio. "They're dancing around it. You fly like machines, predictable and logical. We fly like humans, creative and adaptive." As the battle continued, the remaining Draconian ships found themselves being picked off one by one. The humans had stopped fighting like a primitive species trying to survive. They were fighting like apex predators who had lured their prey into a trap. Admiral Vextar watched his fleet disappear ship by ship. The humans weren't just winning, they were demonstrating complete tactical superiority. Every weapon system, every defensive measure, every strategic doctrine that the Draconian Empire considered advanced was being systematically defeated by beings they had dismissed as primitive. "Admiral," his tactical officer reported, "we now Have fewer than 100 ships remaining. Request permission to attempt a final assault on their homeworld. Vextar looked at the tactical display. Earth hung in space, blue and green and beautiful, protected by defensive systems that had proven impossible to penetrate. Around it, human ships moved with deadly purpose, hunting the remainder of his fleet. No, he said finally. Signal the fleet. All ships are to power down weapons and prepare for surrender. Sir? We came here to conquer primitives, Vextar said bitterly. Instead, we found apex predators who were pretending to be weak. The hunt is over, and we were never the hunters. The message went out to what remained of the once mighty Third Conquest fleet. One by one, Draconian ships powered down their weapons and transmitted surrender signals. In space around them, human vessels moved in perfect formation, ready to finish the job if needed. But they held their fire, showing the same mercy that had confused their enemies throughout the battle. The Draconian fleet had come to make an example of Earth. Instead, Earth was about to make an example of them. The silence in the Galactic Council chambers was complete. For 3 days there had been no word from Admiral Vextar or his fleet. The delegates sat in their seats, staring at empty communication screens and trying to understand what could have happened. Perhaps their communication equipment was damaged, suggested a Neptarian delegate, his gaseous form shifting nervously. For 3 days? Replied a Zephyrite, her crystalline body chiming with worry. An entire fleet doesn't just lose communication for 3 days. The technocrat representative clicked its mechanical parts together. Probability of communication failure across 300 ships simultaneously, less than 0.0001%. Alternative explanations must be considered. Before anyone could respond, the main communication array activated. The delegates turned expectantly, hoping to finally hear from the Admiral. Instead, they saw something impossible. The face of a human. Captain Hyun Park appeared on the massive screen, wearing the same simple uniform they had seen during his conversation with Admiral Vextar. Behind him was clearly the bridge of a human ship, with its primitive-looking controls and basic displays. Greetings, members of the Galactic Council. He began, his voice calm and respectful. My name is Captain Hyun Park of the Earth Defense Force. I'm speaking to you through communication equipment we recovered from the Draconian fleet. A wave of shocked murmurs swept through the hall. The Draconian fleet had been destroyed? It seemed impossible. I know you're wondering what happened to Admiral Vextar and his ships, Park continued. The Admiral came to our system 3 days ago with a fleet of 300 vessels. He came to conquer Earth and make an example of humanity for the rest of the galaxy to see. The human captain paused, letting that sink in. He succeeded in making an example, just not the one he intended. The Yao screen split, showing tactical recordings of the battle. The delegates watched in growing amazement as the primitive human defenses systematically destroyed one of the galaxy's most powerful fleets. As you can see, Park explained, the Draconian fleet was completely defeated. Of 300 ships, 91 survived to surrender. The rest were destroyed in battle. Admiral Vextar himself is among our prisoners. A Neptarian delegate found his voice first. Impossible. The Draconian Empire has the most advanced military in the galaxy. Park's expression didn't change. Had past tense. Their military doctrine was indeed advanced, for fighting other advanced species. But they made a critical error. They assumed that different meant primitive. The screen showed more battle footage, focusing on human weapons that looked crude, but performed with devastating efficiency. Your scouts observed our railguns and saw primitive magnetic launchers. You were right. They are magnetic launchers. What you didn't see was that we had combined your energy manipulation technology with our materials science and kinetic weapons expertise. The result was projectiles that could adapt to any shield frequency and penetrate any known armor. Ji-won. Kim appeared beside Captain Park on the screen. Her young face was serious as she addressed the council. We've been studying your technology for 23 years, she said. Every crashed probe, every abandoned ship, every piece of alien equipment that entered our system was carefully analyzed and reverse engineered. We didn't copy your designs. We improved them. The screen showed human ships that looked like simple metal boxes but moved with impossible grace and precision. You saw crude fusion drives, Park continued. We saw propulsion systems that could be enhanced with alien power generation technology. You saw basic armor plating. We saw adaptive materials that could respond to different types of attacks in real time. Nara Lee joined the broadcast from her engineering station. The beauty of human engineering, she said with a slight smile, is that we don't just build things that work. We build things that can be improved. Every piece of alien technology we found became a component in something better. The council delegates were beginning to understand the scope of their miscalculation. These weren't primitive beings who had gotten lucky. These were intelligent creatures who had deliberately appeared primitive while preparing for exactly this kind of encounter. Sujin Kang appeared on screen next, her tactical displays showing the complete analysis of Draconian battle doctrine. You fight the way your manuals tell you to fight, she explained. Every species in the galaxy follows predictable patterns based on their technological advantages. But humans have been fighting each other for thousands of years. We've learned to adapt, to think creatively, to find new solutions to old problems. The IU screen showed the final moments of the battle, with the remaining Draconian ships surrendering. The lesson here isn't that humans are superior to other species, Park said, returning to the center of the broadcast. The lesson is that underestimating someone based on their appearance or their technology level can be fatal. A Zephyrite delegate found the courage to ask, "What do you intend to do now? Will you use the Draconian technology to conquer other worlds?" Park looked genuinely surprised by the question. Conquer? No. We never wanted to conquer anyone. We just wanted to be left alone to develop peacefully. But since that's apparently not possible, we're prepared to defend ourselves and anyone else who needs protection. The screen showed human ships releasing Draconian prisoners at the edge of the solar system. We're sending the survivors back to their empire with a message, Park continued. The message is simple. Earth is under human protection. Any species that comes to trade, to learn, or to establish peaceful relations will be welcomed. Any species that comes to conquer, to enslave, or to destroy will face the same fate as the Third Conquest Fleet. Taeho Choi joined the broadcast. We're also establishing sanctuary protocols, he announced. Any species facing extinction or oppression may request protection in Earth's solar system. We have the capability to defend refugee populations and the determination to do so. The implications were staggering. These primitive humans were offering to protect other species from the galaxy's major powers. But we're not interested in becoming conquerors ourselves, Park emphasized. We don't want to rule the galaxy or impose our will on other species. We just want the right to exist peacefully and to help others do the same. Ye Jin-Oh appeared briefly on screen, showing alien prisoners receiving medical treatment from human doctors. Even in war, we try to minimize suffering, she said simply. That's what makes us human. The broadcast was nearing its end. Captain Park's face filled the screen again. Members of the Galactic Council, humanity is officially announcing our presence in galactic affairs. We're not seeking membership in your organization, as it's clear that might lead to right in your society. Instead, we're establishing our own policy. Earth and its solar system are neutral territory. We will not attack other species, but we will defend ourselves and any refugees who seek our protection. We will trade with anyone who approaches us peacefully, but we will fight anyone who comes with hostile intent. The screen showed one final image, the wreckage of Draconian ships drifting in space around Earth's moon. The Draconian Empire called us primitive. They laughed at our simple weapons and crude ships. They came here expecting an easy victory to intimidate the rest of the galaxy. Park's voice became hard as steel. The Third Conquest Fleet entered our system 3 days ago. They will never leave. Let that be a lesson to anyone else who thinks that different means weak. The transmission ended, leaving the council chambers in absolute silence. The delegates stared at the empty screen, trying to process what they had just learned. The humans weren't primitive. They were possibly the most dangerous species the galaxy had ever encountered, and they had been hiding in plain sight for decades. Across the galaxy, the news spread quickly. Some species panicked, fearing human expansion. Others rejoiced, seeing hope for protection from oppressive empires. But everyone understood one thing clearly. The age of easy conquest was over. There was a new power in the galaxy, one that looked harmless but fought like demons when threatened. A species that valued life but could end it with terrifying efficiency when necessary. In a small solar system around an ordinary yellow star, humanity had announced its arrival on the galactic stage, not with conquest or threats, but with a simple demonstration of what happened when you underestimated the wrong species. The Draconian fleet had come to ridicule Earth and make it an example for the galaxy. They had succeeded beyond their wildest dreams, just not the way they had planned. Earth had become an example, all right. An example of what happened when predators disguised themselves as prey and waited for the right moment to reveal their true nature. The galaxy would never make that mistake again.